is the name of a person and everybody who stems from this person. Okay? That's the way we need to look at that. So, let's go to Bereshit chapter 46. We're going to tie into some other things that we're going to see. Okay. And starting in verse 2. It says, and Elohim spake unto Israel in the visions of the night, and said, Yaakov, Yaakov. And he said, Here am I. And he said, I am Elohi, your father, or mighty one of your father. Fear not to go down into Egypt, for I will there make of thee a great nation. Keep that in mind. I will go down with thee into Egypt. Keep that in mind as we go along. Let me repeat that. Last clause of verse 3 and the beginning clause of verse 4. For I will there make of thee a great nation. I will go down with thee into Egypt. Very important point that we need to focus on, and I encourage you all to pray about. So let's continue with verse 4. And I will also surely bring you up again, and Yusuf shall put his hand upon your eyes. So let's move forward. Let's go to Exodus chapter 1, reading verses 1 to 5. Now these are the names of the sons of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Yaakov. Now, every man with his household, that means that with these sons, there were 12 sons he had. He also had a daughter, but the 12 sons become the focal point, okay? These 12 sons took wives, and their wives bore them children. These sons, along with their wives, form what we know today as being the 12 tribes of Israel. So now, in verse 2, it says, Reuben, or Reuben, Shemun, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all the souls that came out of the loins of Yaakov were 70 souls, for Yusuf was in Egypt already. So, an Israelite is a member of the family of Israel. Okay? A descendant of any one of those 12 tribes. Okay? Now, as was discussed and as we've been looking at, the twofold meanings for the names. Right? Now when you get to Israel, or Israel, literally speaking, it only applies to people who physically stem from Jacob or one of his 12 sons. Okay? Well, I should just say one of his 12 sons because those are all the descendants that he had. Okay? Or from Dinah, but we don't learn much about Dinah in the scriptures. Okay? The focal point again was the 12 sons. So, any of the 12 sons' descendants would be classified as being an Israelite. That is the literal meaning. Prophetically, however, the name applies to any human being who grasp onto the covenant that the Creator made with Israel. Now, one of the things we learn, and what we're going to see as we go along, is that when he gave that word, matter of fact, let's move on to that. So before we move on, let's reiterate. You have Shem, who becomes a focal point, and all of his descendants are considered to be Semitic. You have Eber, who becomes the next focal point. All of his descendants are considered to be Hebrew. So if you're Hebrew, automatically you know that you're Semitic. Then you have Israel, which is the next title that is used to classify a group of people. So we know now if you're physically from Israel or are an Israelite, then automatically you are also Hebrew. Automatically you're also Semitic. Okay? You need to understand these things. Alright? So, because some of the terms that are being used, Hebrew Israelite, for example, it's no need to use the term Hebrew Israelite. If you're an Israelite, it should be understood that you're also Hebrew, that you're also Semitic. But I understand the reason why they use the term. They use it so as to identify themselves and make a distinction between them and the Jews. But we're going to get to that term as well. Okay? But let's move on. So let's go to Devarim, or Deuteronomy chapter 5, beginning at verse 1, which reads, And Moshe called all Israel and said unto them, Hear, O Israel, the statutes and judgments which I speak in your ears this day, that you may learn them and keep and do them. Yahweh, Allahinu. Now the term Allahinu means our mighty one or our God. So Yahweh, our mighty one, made a covenant with us. See? In Horeb. Made an agreement, a contract with us. Keep that in mind. Verse 3. Yahweh made not this covenant with our fathers. So something new is being established with this group of people. What had been established. Yahweh made not this covenant with our fathers, but with us. Even us, who are all of us here alive this day. Yahweh talked with you face to face. See, when they stood at Mount Sinai or Sinai, they heard the voice of the Most High speak to them. They didn't have to have a man come and tell them. It was the Creator of the heavens and the earth speaking to them himself. Yahweh talked with you face to face in the mount, out of the midst of the fire. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time. Very important piece of information. Now that establishes the whole line of prophets, that establishes the whole idea of a mediator. Okay? You have some brothers and sisters out there who believe that we all go to the Most High directly. No, we don't. There has always been a mediator present. I stood between Yahweh and you at that time to show you the word of Yahweh. For you were afraid by reason of the fire and went not up into the mount, staying. And at that point, he basically starts to reiterate the 10 words or the 10 commandments. But I just wanted to stop there and tie in something else here. Now, we discussed when we were together the last time about the 10 words and how they basically form the basis or the foundation for every other law or every other commandment that we learn about. So now, pertaining to that law, let's go to Shemut, or Exodus chapter 12, beginning at verse 49. It states, one law shall be to him that is homeborn. And when it says homeborn, what that simply means, somebody who is a native. That means that you are one of the 12 tribes of Israel. That's what that means. One that is homeborn, then also says, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. Now, what's interesting about this term, okay, the stranger. We're going to look at that again. But let me just get this up here for you real quick. The term for stranger is written Gimel, Resh. It's pronounced Ger. Okay? The number, you'll find that in the 1616. Number 1616. Now, this letter, when you write that in the pictures, right?